This guitar pedal will not change your life. Hey everybody, Jace Allen here. Welcome back to the channel. So I've been trying to find a particular tone. I'm just looking for a pedal or even a plug-in, something that I can use at my desk here when I'm reviewing guitars that I can just plug into and get a decent tone. So far, most of the tone that I've gotten for my guitar reviews is pretty mediocre at best. I've mic'd up a few amps and that sounds pretty good, but it's really cumbersome to have cables all across the floor here. My audio interface only has 2 inputs on it. I have a bigger one, but I use that as a mixer with my band. And so I'd really like something that's pretty easy that I can just plug into. It goes into the interface. I can record the demos and it sounds good. Because sometimes I worry that if the sound of the guitar that I'm demoing isn't at its best, that I will be sending sort of giving the wrong impression about that particular guitar. And a lot of times the sound that I get is pretty thin. I mean, it almost sounds like the guitar plugged directly into the audio interface. It's just got a hollow sound to it. So I've tried a lot of different things. I've used plugins. The Morgan Amps Suite by Neural Amps is probably the closest I've gotten to a decent amp sound out of a plugin. And then I use this amp modeling system called ToneX GFX. And that's a pretty good one too, but it can be a little complicated to get decent tone when you're using it as a plugin in the DAW. Both of these programs can run in standalone mode and they seem to work really good, but then when you use them as a plug-in with, say, Reaper DAW, then they kind of seems like they kind of lose something, and so the recordings just don't sound that great. And then sometimes I'll get clipping and input issues, which is probably from the audio interface or my volume settings or things like that. And so it's been frustrating. And so I've also come close with a pedal. This is the AC Tone by Joyo. This is basically an amplifier pedal. It acts as an amplifier. I mean, you can't run a cabinet with this. It's line level, but it's, you know, it comes pretty close to emulating an analog amp. And that sounded pretty good. And then I paired it with this wannabe pedal, which has a blues breaker overdrive on one side and a Klon overdrive on the other side, and this sounds pretty good too. But I listened to, the reason I bought this pedal was because I was looking for that real crunchy edge of breakup, actually a little more than edge of breakup tone for guitars. And when I watched the reviews on this pedal, the tone was amazing. If you watch my video about this pedal, the tones that other people were getting out of that pedal were just incredible. And so I bought it based on that, and I have yet to be able to get a similar tone out of that pedal. And so that brings me to today's sort of review, which is of the ToneX One. You couldn't throw a rock on YouTube without hitting a YouTuber that was reviewing the ToneX One, I don't know, about 6 months to a year ago. I can't remember when this thing dropped exactly. But it's supposedly a revolutionary pedal that just will change your life. It'll make your playing so much better, and it sounds so incredible. And the tone examples, the tone samples that the YouTubers are doing, it sounds amazing. And then I bought it, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting the same tones out of this pedal. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so let's hear a couple examples of what I'm talking about. Now, let me sort of make this disclaimer. I'm not claiming that any of these YouTubers are deceiving us or anything. I'm just saying I can't get the tone out of this pedal that they're getting. So it's either I'm doing something wrong or they're doing something right, or maybe they're using something other than just the pedal by itself. I don't know. I can't make any of those claims. All I'm saying is I can't get these tones out of this pedal. And that's why I got this pedal, was because of some of the reviews that I've seen about it And so let's take a listen to some of these tones.
We'll come back and talk more.
Listen to that. That is absolutely incredible. Of course, he's using, you know, an expensive PRS, but look at his pedal board too. He's got tons of different pedals on there. So that obviously is going to impact the tone as well. But then this YouTuber here, listen to this tone. That's the crunchy tone that I talked about in the wannabe video that I'm trying to get. And he's getting it from one of the stock presets on the ToneX with just a Fender Telecaster. I've got a Fender or a Squier Telecaster that should be similar, right? Similar in tone. And when I plug it in to this ToneX and run it directly into my audio interface to record with, using that same setting, and he even shows his, you can see him adjust the volume on the guitar, and then he shows the pedal. But listen to that. Oh. So there's his settings. So it's a stock pedal. He's on the, you can't tell what his bass, mid, and treble are set at, or the compressor and things like that. So he's got the volume set at about 10 o'clock on here, and not all the way up, and it sounds amazing. So then let's check out this one here. Of course, this is a clean, sort of mellow, but that's a really good tone. It sounds really good. Now listen to this. I mean, listen to that. So that's a Strat, and it says it's going right into his RME Fireface UFX, which is an incredibly expensive audio interface. So that could have something to do with it as well. But the tone on it is amazing. And again, the volume's only set to, say, about 10 o'clock. So we'll do one more example here, and then we'll move on.
And this is just default. I haven't tweaked any of these at all. The next one is the Just 800.
See, that sounded great. That sounds good too. Okay, so that said, keep that in mind. Now, okay, factory settings. I haven't installed any other presets on this, so it's at the factory default. So let's plug it in and see what we get. So I'm going to use power from the USB because I want to be able to control some things through the sort of the app that comes with it. It just makes things a little easier, but that shouldn't affect the tone at all. So I'm coming out with just a regular 1/4 inch into my audio interface. Now, one thing to keep in mind, some audio interfaces have built-in DSP, digital signal processing. This particular audio interface also has DSP. This is a Revelator IO24. And, but it also allows you to shut all that stuff off. So that's what we're gonna do real quick. We're gonna turn off all the effects, and then this is muted so that you're not hearing the preview sound, you're only getting the sound, afterwards. So, and then we can control the gain from here. So then let's go into, and what I normally do, and this is probably what the other YouTubers are doing too, because you have to record the sound that you're playing for your videos. And so I use the Reaper DAW. So I'll just create a new track, and you can see that there's just a little bit of noise here, so that we should be good. Let me see. So then I'll plug in a guitar, and these are pretty decent instrument cables. They're not super cheap or anything. There will be a little bit of noise. I'm not sure if it's coming from the computer or my power here in the studio, but you'll hear a little bit of noise. So let's take this Squier Classic Vibe that I did the review on earlier. So what I do when I do a review is I just hit record on the DAW, and And there you go. So we're recording. So now I'll set the tone. So this is that first preset, that Fender. Let me run the app. Okay, so if you can see this here, this is the Superverb. So these are the stock settings, and then this is the Soldano, and then there's a stomp mode. But we're going to just switch back and forth between this A, B, and then these are the other. You get 20 presets built into the pedal. So there's 20 slots in the pedal. You can use 2 at a time when you're in dual mode, which is basically just like an amp mode where you can switch between 2 channels. And then there's stomp mode where this acts as an effects pedal, like a stomp box. And in that case, you want to plug it into an amplifier, or you're using it in a pedal chain. So we have it set up, and you're getting some volume. My volume's all the way up. The volume's set at 10 on here. So I'm hardly getting any volume out of. My gain is set to 16 on here on the audio interface. Okay, so that's a little better. So let me turn up my. And I'm getting some noise. I'm not even sure what that noise is from. It's like a high-pitched noise. And I don't know if it's my cable or if it's coming from the computer. So let's check, let's try a different cable. Okay, so this is the USB cable that came with it. And it's a USB-C on both ends. My computer doesn't support USB-C, so we're going to have to put an adapter on the end of this. So I don't know if that's going to affect the sound. The fact that I'm going into the wrong type of USB, I don't know. It's a little better, but you're still kind of getting a little bit of that sound. So, okay, so again, let's check out the tones here. It sounds good. Don't get me wrong. It sounds really good, but to me, it just sounds kind of generic. And you can mess with the compression, and then maybe the tone. I mean, it sounds okay, but it doesn't sound like the tones. It just kind of sounds generic, you know? And then watch what happens when I switch to the other channel. It sounds pretty good. To me, it sounds kind of noisy. I mean, you're getting all that string noise. I don't know if it's from my gain. And to hear the interference, there's something going on. I don't know if my phone's too close to the. No, that didn't seem to matter. So let's turn the gain down on the audio interface. But then you lose all your volume on the DAW. Okay, so all that said, the one trick that I sort of came across, and that is to use some of the DSP on the audio interface, and that is to use the compressor. So let's turn on this, what they call this fat channel. See the difference? It really kind of brightens it up a bit. It makes some more noise too. But then if you go back to this other channel, kind of gives it a little more power. So it's really, well, that sounds pretty good. But it just doesn't have that same tone that a couple of those YouTubers were getting. So it's kind of frustrating. I don't know. Again, don't get me wrong. It's got great tones. You can learn more about this pedal. I mean, everybody and their brother did a review on it. So I don't know if it makes sense to do an actual review. I'm just thinking that maybe somebody out there is having some of the same frustrations that I am, where you plug it in and it doesn't, it doesn't sound like it does in, other people's videos. So let me see if I can get rid of some of this noise by actually plugging because you can also plug it in via 9-volt regular pedal power supply. And that really didn't do anything, but if I unplug the USB, it didn't really do anything. You still have that same little buzz. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the camera or on the capture, through the DAW, but it's definitely hear that buzzing, which could be this guitar. I don't know. So let's check a different guitar out. So then I have my Epiphone SG. That one seems to be a little quieter, and then pretty soon the gate will kick in. So there's noise, but I mean, again, don't get me wrong, it sounds good. It's just I can't get that same tone, those same tones. And then when I cycle through the tone library, the presets on here, you get 20 presets. That's pretty good. And that's the, what is that? That is a Dumble overdrive. This is a Vox AC30. That sounds pretty good. And then next is a, there we go, Marshall JMP 100. Really loud. Squealing. All right, let's see. Next, Mesa Boogie Mark 5. Let's see what else here is the Dr. Z, DRZ. Well, I don't even know what that is. DR18, it says. This is a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Okay, that one's super loud too. Noisy. Mesa Boogie F50. And then to clean, this is a Pinky, Friedman Pink Taco. That sounds pretty good. Let's see, next, UK Dirt, Marshall AFD 100. Scorpions. Let's see, next is 808. So then now we're into the stomp pedal. And those probably won't sound very good because you're not running through an amp. Boss MT, Klon. That sounds pretty good. It's real fuzzy though, but I think it's because it's not actually going through an amp. So it'd be like plugging a fuzz pedal directly into the audio interface. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, Big Muff. And then, let's see, OCD Full Tone. And I think that's it. Anyway, that's sort of the ToneX. It's a great pedal. You can actually plug a set of headphones in with a 1/4 inch, adapter into the 1/4 inch output on this, and hear hear it in stereo, so you can actually listen to it. So if you want to use this as a practice tool, you can just plug a pair of headphones into it and play into it. So that's kind of cool. And then, like I said, it'll hold 20 presets. I'm going to try to do a deep dive into this software. Some people have already done reviews on it and everything, and that's fine. I haven't really seen a review on how to create your own preset, so we'll do that. But there's 20,000 more presets available through the ToneNet and everything. I did play with this through my PV amp yesterday at band practice, and it sounded really good. It really brought that amp to life. So it's a great pedal. I guess the moral of the story is sort of what is the point of all this video is that beware of what you hear on YouTube. That's not to, say that people are being deceptive. It's just that, unless you know the complete signal chain. So I'm really not sure what's going on, but it's just not as easy as you think to get the tones that people are showing. So anyway, I'd be interested to know what you think. If you're a ToneX One user, have you gotten some good tones out of it? Are there any tricks or secrets to getting a good tone out of it? Because it's supposed to act like an amplifier. It's got amp modeling in it and cabinet emulation and all that. So theoretically, you should be able to set the pedal up the way you want it, output it to whatever, your mixer, your PA, audio interface, obviously, as I said, through headphones, and get the tone. The tones coming out of it should be what you're hearing. And just plugging it into an audio interface to record it shouldn't change the tone that much. So I'm really curious what these folks are doing to get those types of tones out of this little pedal. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Other than that, I'm Jay Salen, Jay Salen Guitar. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.